Funding for Schaeferless is provided by
Squarespace, the sponsor of today's video. Guys, I'm seriously not used to the Oscars being so good so many years in a row. These are supposed to be cringe-ass ceremonies with unfunny jokes and celebrities constantly patting themselves on the back, not actual compelling celebrations of the art of filmmaking with a ton of entertaining and fun bits. The 2022 ceremony that honored movies released in 2021 was so bad in so many ways that I made an entire video detailing how much I hated it. And for the past 3 years, the Oscars have been doing their damnedest to make up for that fact. The only bad thing I can say about the previous two ceremonies, aside from a couple odd wins here and there, were the fact that they were dragged down into the abyss by the Jimmy Kimmel hosting. I would have unabashedly adored these ceremonies without this unfunny charisma vacuum completely annihilating their chances of being exceptional. So yeah, this year they got Conan O'Brien and the show was actually exceptional. It was that easy. I'm not gonna act like every single joke of his landed, but the ones that did really hit bullseyes. The Carla Sofia Gascon jab was amazing, as was the Joker 2 jab he had the firefighters say, the Drake diss, the musical number about not wasting time, and the general air of self-deprecation he brought to the show that I couldn't imagine someone as full of himself as Kimmel ever adopting. Conan was pretty much exactly as good as I was hoping for, and he really helped contribute to this being such a delightful evening. Maybe his opening monologue was a little bit too long. I feel like you didn't really need that and the performance from Cynthia and Ariana. But with that said, I don't want to cut either, are you kidding? What a nice way to open the show, going from that beautiful montage of LA in the movies to these two amazing performers getting to share the stage. It was a little raw that they made them perform knowing full well neither of them were gonna win Oscars that night. But hey, there's always next year, I guess. I was a little worried Kieran Culkin was gonna give a more traditional and less funny speech this time. But yeah, no, he turned that around really quickly into something absolutely goddamn hilarious, on top of being kinda sweet. I can't say I really got why he swept this season. His performance in A Real Pain being great, but not nearly great enough for him to deserve to beat eldest boy Kendall in every awards show. But at the end of the day, he's an actor I love, and I'm really happy that he got an Oscar. I still think this is kinda category fraud, but whatever, I can live with it. Next up was one of the only real shockers of the night. Flo ultimately prevailing over The Wild Robot to win Best Animated Feature. The first ever indie film to do so. How did we get here? How did we go from this being the boring, predictable, just give it to Pixar award to something that Academy voters actually take seriously, an award to a film that they consider to have the most artistry put behind, instead of just defaulting to what their kids like? Don't get me wrong, The Wild Robot was my favorite film in this category, and I'm a little bummed about its loss. But on the other hand, I was absolutely uplifted by Flo's win in this category. It seems too good to be true that a tiny, independent film with no dialogue, made entirely in Blender, could beat multi-million-dollar productions from Disney and DreamWorks. Whether you think Flo deserved the win or not, you have to admit, this has got to be what Guillermo del Toro was talking about a few years back, when he declared that animation is cinema. That means offering acknowledgement to the artistry and unbridled sense of wonder that goes into more obscure, independent animated features like Flo. So if it means The Wild Robot had to lose in order for indie animation to get its time in the spotlight on the entertainment industry's biggest stage, then yeah, I'd say that's a worthwhile trade-off. Even if it does seem like the Academy hates DreamWorks, like goddamn, aside from their co-production with Aardman, Curse of the Were-Rabbit, they haven't won in this category since Shrek 24 years ago. Again, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not a little bit bummed, but The Wild Robot had plenty of attention already, and it didn't need this Oscar win. Flo and independent animation in general did. What happened next? I think Squarespace took home Best Website Builder. No surprises there. I really loved the speech they gave for that win. Let me recite it all right now for you. Squarespace is a wonderful online website builder that enables you to create beautiful websites for your business or personal hobby. I adore how easy they make it to showcase your expertise and engage clients with video content on your website. You can make stunning video libraries and even monetize your content by adding a paywall. Perfect for online courses, exclusive tutorials, and premium workshops. If you want to get discovered fast, that's where integrated Squarespace SEO tools come in. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more, letting you pop up more often on search engines and attract way more customers. Squarespace also offers lots of built-in donation tools. You can create a professional, on-brand website that makes it easy to accept one-time or recurring contributions, and engage your supporters. Use built-in email campaigns and marketing tools to connect with your community and inspire more people to support your cause. Check out squarespace.com/ShayFrillis for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use promo code ShayFrillis to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. One of my favorite elements of the show was how much more it felt like they wanted to celebrate the technical categories like costume design and cinematography, where they got 5 actors from the nominated films to talk about each one of the nominees. It was a nice addition, allowing these craftsmen the time in the spotlight they rightfully deserved for getting nominated in these categories. When I was younger, I used to find anything that wasn't picture, acting, or animated feature boring. But the older I get, the more I appreciate how this ceremony is a chance for hardworking non-celebrities to get the attention and respect they deserve. I was really moved finding out that Wicked's Paul Tazwell was the first black man to ever win Best Costumes. I was really happy seeing Lowell Crawley accept Best Cinematography because his name is Lowell. Like, LOL. That's his name. Okay, maybe I am kind of a child still. Oh well. Speaking of funny names, I liked when that short film I didn't watch won, and one of the guys to get an Oscar for it was Trent. No last name, just Trent. I don't know, I got a real kick out of that. Shout out to my boy Trent. Aside from the shorts, most of the wins were pretty predictable. Like, whoa, you're telling me The Substance won makeup? That's wild. I was pretty happy with most of said predictable wins. But you knew this was coming. Let's talk about Emilia Perez for hopefully the last fucking time on this channel. I'm not mad that Zoe Saldana and El Mal won. I'm just disappointed. That's mostly because I saw these wins coming from a mile away, so I accepted them as a foregone conclusion. If Emilia Perez won International Feature over I'm Still Here, then the Academy would have caught these hands, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Look, at the end of the day, Zoe Saldana is a good actress who's been putting in good work for a while now. I don't know how or why she swept the season for a decent enough, I suppose, performance in an abysmal movie. But again, I can't stress enough that she is the best part of the film, and it could have been worse. Now, do I think this is a worse win than Jamie Lee Curtis? Actually, that's a really good question. You know what? Maybe I'll make a video ranking all of the acting winners of the decade so far, just so I can decide which one of them ranks at the bottom. I mean, for all I know, maybe it's Will Smith and King Richard who's actually the worst. I never watched that movie. Yeah, this could be interesting. Stay tuned for that. El Mal also sucked as a win, but at least unlike supporting actress, there really wasn't a lot of strong competition. It is so funny seeing Diane Warren go home empty-handed for the 16th time. Stop nominating her shit songs, Academy, I am begging you. Oh yeah, this isn't in the script, but I forgot to mention, the speech for El Mal was really cringe. When they started singing, I wanted to kill myself. Anyway, honestly, these were the only 2 wins that really made me upset in any capacity. I was very pleased with just about everything else on some level. And that includes my astronomical excitement for I'm Still Here, taking home Best International Feature. Oh, thank God we gave it to a real movie instead of that Emilia Perez horseshit. It would have been really funny if Flo just swooped in out of nowhere and took that too, though. But yeah, no, this was absolutely well-deserved. Go Brazil! I was very pleased with No Other Land taking home documentary, and I found that speech particularly powerful. Probably the best one of the whole night. It was nice of them to toss some pity technical Oscars to Dune 2. I'm glad Wicked got its flowers for production design and costumes. Brutalist absolutely deserves cinematography and original score. As for Best Actor, look, they were never gonna give it to Coleman Domingo, I get it. So I guess Adrian Brody is a fine enough win. I wasn't the biggest fan of The Brutalist, but he does give a great and towering central performance in it. Even so, I thought it would have been kinda cool for Timothy to swoop in and take it, beating Brody's record and becoming the new youngest Best Actor winner in history. It just seemed very poetic and cool. To be fair though, I wasn't the biggest Complete Unknown fan either, and I feel like Timmy deserves to win for a meteor performance. Like Dune Messiah maybe? Just spitballing here. Anyway, yeah, Adrian Brody made sense, sure. But God, did he have to go on for so long? At some point, I just had to say, this speech is not nearly good enough to justify this length. I bet you my goat Coleman Domingo wouldn't have gone on that long. Anyway, a couple miscellaneous odds and ends before we get to the main event for me to talk about. I like the bit with the dune sandworm constantly showing up. The ceremony was overall fantastic and satisfying, but my main issue with it was that it was way too long. It's hard to really know what to cut, aside from maybe the James Bond musical number. I mean, it was good, but why was it there? But yeah, the Oscars should not run longer than The Brutalist. They went on for so long, Hulu cut the feed. Thanks for nothing, assholes. Oh well, aside from the length and the obligatory Amelia Perez garbage, this was not only a fun ceremony, but an immensely satisfying one. Because it's not often I get to say that my favorite of the Best Picture nominees was the one that swept. In 2022, my favorite Best Picture nominee was The Banshees of Inisherin, which went home with nothing because Everything Everywhere All at Once swept. I was a little bummed, but happy that a ton of awards went to a different great movie. In 2023, my favorite Best Picture nominee was The Holdovers, which went home with just one award because Oppenheimer swept. I was a little bummed, but happy that a ton of awards went to a different great movie. In 2024, my favorite Best Picture nominee was Anora, which f***ing won everything! Yeah, now that's what I'm talking about! I went into this with a hunch that the Academy was gonna favor Conclave, since it absolutely more so resembles the kind of movies that win Best Picture. I know Conclave has a lot of fans, and I totally respect that. It's a very hard movie to outright hate, but I can't say I was really a big fan of it myself. I braced for it potentially beating my beloved Anora, and I waited with bated breath to see if Anora could remain competitive by picking up original screenplay. And it did. The excitement within me began to rise, but I also reminded myself not to get too overhyped. I've seen the movie, I know what happened to Anora when she got her hopes too high. Then Anora beat Conclave for Best Editing in a genuine upset, and at that point, it was basically a done deal. There was no way Anora was losing picture, and I was so happy. It's so good, you guys. So damn funny and absurd, but also devastating and captivating. Sean Baker's director win speech was great. I especially loved how much he stressed the importance of movie theaters. But I will say, as much as I love Anora, I'm still not totally sure what about it was so special from a directorial standpoint. Like, Sean Baker didn't need to win that category. It clearly should have gone to Denis Villeneuve. Oh yeah, he wasn't nominated. Okay, Coralie Farge then. I think The Substance is far more of a directorial feat than Anora. I mean, again, look at the fake-ass way the guy from Anora holds a video game controller. This is bullshit directing. But ultimately, Anora prevailed over The Substance in this category. And that reminds me, the nail-biter of all nail-biter categories. Best Actress. Going into the ceremony, no one knew whether it would be Demi Moore, Mikey Madison, or Fernanda Torres. I didn't count any of the three of them out, but I have to say, I did kind of have a hunch that even if Anora didn't sweep all the other major categories, it was probably going to Mikey Madison. And after Sean Baker took home every Oscar he was nominated for, the writing especially was on the wall, and I was not shocked at all when Mikey's name was read. So why was I so unfazed by such an upset? First of all, I fully think Demi Moore would have been an amazing win. Not just for her entire career, but for a really devastating and committed performance. Not to mention, Mikey Madison absolutely would have been back at the Oscars in the years to come. While it's hard to say if that's in the cards for Demi. But ultimately, let's not kid ourselves here. The Substance is a gory body horror film. The fact that it was even nominated in all of these categories is kind of the win. And as based as these nominations were on the Academy's part, do you really think they're so based as a whole that they would give a horror performance the win? It just genuinely seemed too good to be true. But on top of that, I'm gonna be honest here, I don't think Demi Moore is the main draw of The Substance, quite like how Mikey Madison is the main draw of Anora. As tremendous as her performance is, you gotta respect the balance between what Demi does and what Margaret Qualley does as Sue. They have nearly equal presence across the film, and they also share a lot of the attention with the unique direction and the gnarly practical effects. The Substance is so great because of so many things. And while Demi absolutely kills it, I feel like the film would still have so much going for it if you cast a different actress in that role. You cannot say the same thing about Anora. Mikey Madison is that movie. Her charisma keeps the entire thing afloat. She imbues her character with so much heart and humor and spunk. It is impossible to separate her amazing performance with how great the film as a whole is. And that, to me, is why she won Best Actress. I honestly think it's the exact same situation as Emma Stone versus Lily Gladstone last year. The truth of the matter is, Lily Gladstone is not solely responsible for making Killers of the Flower Moon great. The screenplay, direction, and the performances of Leo and Robert De Niro also play a huge part in that. And while you could say a similar thing about Poor Things, a movie with tremendous visual style and wonderful supporting performances, you also cannot deny that the entire film lives or dies by Emma Stone's performance. And without her, it would not work nearly as well. Gladstone and Moore's losses really do sting, because I think they do deserve it. But Stone and Madison gave my favorite performances in this category both of these years. Largely because their performances make their movies. Aw man, you guys are not prepared for how high these two are gonna rank in the Oscar winners of the decade so far ranking video. So yeah, Anora took home Best Picture and I was very pleased. It's great to have a good, fun, accessible Best Picture winner. That seems to be the theme of the decade, honestly, between this, Everything Everywhere, and Coda. Hell, I wouldn't call Oppenheimer a fun film, but you can't deny we had some fun with it anyway with that whole Barbenheimer trend. I'm sure tons of people will scoff at Anora's victory, much like how they did with Everything Everywhere and Coda. But honestly, I could never bring myself to hate any of these movies, even if I thought Everything Everywhere was a little overhyped that season. Even if Coda winning is still kind of bewildering to this day. Seriously, why did that happen? I'm honestly even in a bit of disbelief that a movie as goofy and madcap as Anora actually pulled it off. But I suppose, much like how animated feature has been changing for the better, Best Picture winners are getting more and more accessible, largely thanks to the shifting demographics of the Academy. I'll take a winner that makes me feel the full gamut of human emotions like Anora does, over a rather stuffy and boring film like some of those the Academy used to reward any day. And especially over an Emilia Perez. Oh, thank God for Carla Sofia Gascon's flagrant racism, otherwise this might have actually won Best Picture. So yeah, overall I was very pleased with this ceremony, and I am giving it 9 Adrians out of Brody Quest. A little too long, with a couple of bullshit wins, and okay, yeah, I'll admit it, I like when something goes wrong in the ceremony. I'm not asking for another Moonlight La La Land fiasco, but at least another Adele Dazeem moment would have been nice. But overall, I think this might have been the best ceremony I've ever watched. Like seriously, this is what the Oscars could have been this whole time. It makes me feel like I've wasted the last 15 years of watching them. Oh well. My parting message is, watch Anora, it is so damn fantastic. Or, you don't even have to do that, but at the very least, watch Flow. It is a cute and compelling movie about a little cat, and if you have the gall to say that animation is cinema on Twitter, you better put your money where your mouth is and support this damn movie, or once again, I will break into your house and make you feel unsafe. Good night, Dolby Theater.